What do we have here? We got the Kansept Fenrir. Now, the Fenrir um, means some kind of wolf god thing, I think. Now, it's got a symbol of like a bird guy on it, but I'm guessing that's the designer. The designer is Greg Schaub. Yeah, I think it's Greg Schaub. Anyway, um, it's a really cool knife. I like it a lot. I have a Damn Designs Fenrir. So there's at least two Fenrirs out there. They're both cool. They're quite different. One's not copied from the other. I think there's like 3 or 4 Pelicans out there. So it's okay to have multiple knives that have the same name. We run out of cool knife names after a while. You gotta have something for your name. So I mean, there's like 7 million knives, different knife designs. There's not really 7 million different cool things to call your knife. If you see on this side, I have these lines drawn on it. What I was going to think about doing was putting some rough scratches along those two different vectors there, and those would kind of match the micarta weave pattern. So that was my thinking, and the main reason I want to do that is just to give it some texture, because when you try to pull it out of your pocket, it's a tiny bit slick. So we're going to maybe do some modding, but first I figured we'd do at least like a full real review of this guy instead of just jumping right on cutting it up with the torches and the grinders and shit. So my first impression of this guy was just really well built, really good quality. I think Kansept is pretty well known for that, and I think this is a good example. It just feels tight. It feels well made. I don't mean tight like the blade's tight. I mean like all the surfaces where they're touching each other and connected and stuff. It's just all real tight. I think that surface right there kind of surprised me that it wasn't perfect, but it's, I don't know, it's real close. It only sticks up a tiny bit, but I mean, this is like, Wii level fit and finish to me, or pretty close. Really nice. The, so it's either thumb or reverse flick or front flipper. Front flipper works really, really good. The thumb studs were a tiny bit too slippery on top. They had like a little rounded, so they have these different stages, like a lot of them do, that kind of pyramid action. The last stage was a real rounded nub, and I flattened that off with the grinder. It just took like, I don't know, 15 seconds per side, and in part because I needed something a little sharper, and after I ground it off, I didn't like sand it or anything on the edge, so it's real sharp on that very edge, right where I stopped grinding it, and it catches your thumb better than it did before. It was a little slippery before. Now the front flipper is great, real good jimping, grabs your thumb, no problem. Sticks up a little ugly, but I mean, not bad. Pocket clip works really good, really flexible. It could almost be a little stronger. It's almost a bit too flexible, but it's, I can't complain about it. It's really good. The blade shape is cool. I think maybe one mod I might do is just bring this cut up a little bit. Something about this part being so wide, it's just a little weird. It just reminds me of things that are too wide. Micarta is great quality micarta. I think Kansept always has really good quality micarta. Like, I've never seen, some companies have good micarta and some have janky micarta and some have both. Like S35vn has some really good micarta, and then they have some of that janky, really rough, ugly micarta too. So some companies have both, but Kansept, I've only seen really, really good micarta from them. So that's a good thing. I think maybe we'll just polish this guy. No backspacer, so we'll polish this guy, maybe throw a little ano on it, or maybe just polish it, I don't know, but we'll see. And then I don't know if I want to ano beat. So this part, what would you call that? It's not a bolster. It's kind of like, this whole thing is kind of like a reverse bolster type knife. Usually you would see the metal part up at the front, and the whatever this filler part is, and this one's micarta, but it could be wood or it could be G10 or whatever, it might be down at this end usually, so it's kind of flipped. But I don't know, it works, it's fine. But anyway, this titanium part here is solid part with the frame underneath. So basically it's a liner lock, I guess, but it's also the main frame back here. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely well made. Interesting design. The lock has a metal insert, just like you would on a frame lock. So it's basically a frame lock with the front part of the frame lock hidden behind a scale. So it's kind of like a liner lock. I don't know what it is, but it is what it is. But it's definitely a nice knife. The action's very smooth. Not quite drop shutty, but like lightly shake shutty. Just super buttery smooth. Kansept is, for me, very buttery usually with their actions. I've had, probably 5 different Kansepts, and all felt really buttery. Buttery smooth action. I wish they had they didn't have the, you know what, let me check that. I don't remember if the pivot is like a D-shaped pivot or what. I feel like it is, but I'm not sure. Nope, it's actually adjustable on that side. What about the other side? Oh, that's sad, man. It is actually a spinning pivot. Kansept, shit, man. Come on, dude. This is like a $180, $200 knife. Maybe over 200. What the hell? Really? We can't put a D-shape? I'm literally disappointed just in this moment because I didn't know that. I haven't taken it apart before, but I just noticed that it has, Torx bit holes on both sides. So I'm like, maybe they just screwed up, or maybe they just wanted it to look the same on both sides. But no, you actually might need to use 2 Torx to take it apart. Very disappointing, man, for a high-end knife. Like, well, not high-end, but on the higher end side for them. I mean, they make a lot of budgets, and they make a lot of, full titanium. I don't know, okay, we'll call it the mid-range knife for them. But it's not a budget. It's not a, $50, $75 knife. Lock access. Lock access is good, but also kind of bad. It's a weird thing. You can get it super easy. You can get to it super easy. It unlocks super easy, no problem. But it has a weird feel to it because it's such a small little dip, but it's also kind of a deep dip into the handle. So it feels a little claustrophobic as you put your thumb in there. And then your thumb is also running into this corner right here. I mean, there's nothing really, it doesn't poke you or anything like that. To me, it's just a little uncomfortable. Like, I don't know why they didn't just take this a little further back. Even holding it that way, with your, say, index finger here, feels a little restricted. Like your finger's stuck down in this little wedged hole. This way feels better, although this is in the wrong place and your thumb is on top of it. I don't know. It does have some issues. The Fenrir definitely has some downsides. I really like it, and I think if I cut this forward a little bit so that when you're choked up, your thumb is sitting here, and that's about where it's cut. I think that'll be about right. It'll feel good like that. I think I might actually take this and cut this a little bit more like this, so that it's kind of like, I don't mind this drop right here. Yeah, it almost had that. I can't change that because the end of the blade stops right there, and I'm not getting into all that shit. So, but on the back side though, I think I'll take it a little further back like that to make it more of a nice little valley, not this deep little, I don't know, half circle deal, cutaway. Doesn't feel right. Other than that, it's really nice. Lock up, perfect. Smooth deploy, smooth closing. The blade hits your thumb the right way. Like it's hitting your thumbnail right there, just as it should. Or if you move up a little bit, it's actually even hitting before the blade can even touch you. So that part's good. It feels a little butt heavy because that piece is solid titanium and there's no cutouts on the inside. They could have done that. They could have done a little more skeletonizing on the inside here. That would have been nice. So, I'm not going to say it's a miss. It's definitely not a miss. It's a nice knife. And if you like the look of it, especially if you like just extra wide here, if you like fat bottom girls, then this thing might be for you. And I really like that clip shape. It's nice. Ergos are pretty good, unless you kind of jam your finger down into there because you're doing this. Then it's a little weird feeling. Not bad, just different. All right, so what are we going to do? Going to trim this part. Trim it up a little bit so your thumb's in the right place when you choke up, not sitting on a point. And trim that out a little bit. Maybe even a little relief cut here so that your thumb gets to the thumb stud a little easier, and especially on the reverse flick side. On the reverse flick, as it is, and even as it was before I cut off the top of the thumb stud, when you try to reverse flick it, your finger ends up on the outside kind of edge and kind of can pop off too easy. It can't get in between this part and the thumb stud very well. So it works, but you kind of have to be deliberate about putting some pressure this way with your finger when you do it. So it works. Reverse flick is actually not bad at all. But if I'm not deliberate about it, if I just kind of just throw my finger at it, about, you know, half the time it's gonna work or not. Yeah, about half the time. Unless I literally push pressure up into this area. So not this way, that'll just pop off, but this way, stuffed into that little area there. Then you can do it. So if this area gets eked out a little bit, you know, at an angle, like a little swedge, kind of swale, something, I would do the same thing on both sides, being real careful not to burn the micarta, and I think that'll help make it nice. Boy, I wish I could make it a little lighter in the back. I guess I could drill it out on the inside a little bit. Yeah, I don't know, I'll think about it. That seems pretty extreme. All right, so we'll jump to some mods. All right, let's get it started. Why am I taking so much? Right? Letting it get burnt. That is definitely burnt. That's what it looks like when you leave it on for too long. That little, how it's kind of beige right there, or kind of amber. That's what getting it burnt looks like. But I know that I'm taking it all the way down to here, so a little burn way up here does nothing really. Doesn't bother me at all. I'll definitely stop taking that much when I get down to maybe here, so that I don't burn it and change the color past where I'm going. So that's why I'm going to hold it a little bit longer than I usually would, until we get down a little further, to expedite the grinding. I usually use ice in my water cup. I don't have any in there right now. I should probably go get some. I haven't actually checked how hot it gets. Let's check it from... We'll do a nice 3 grind pass. Okay, it's not getting hot down past my line. Up there, yeah, I feel it. It's a funny thing about steel. It takes a while for the heat to move through the steel. It's not quick like aluminum. Aluminum, if you heat it here, it's going to be hot where I'm holding it like almost instantly. But with steel, it takes a while to move down. So you can heat up this surface and not feel it for, you know, 10 seconds until it moves down into the rest. Now it's, you know, it's starting to warm up the whole rest of it some and spread around that heat. But steel doesn't transmit heat very well, so it takes some time. Or it never transmits it and just loses it out to the air first before it even gets down to the rest. Cool thing about this is, even if I mess up, it's kind of an arbitrary place where I'm making this shape. It's not arbitrary because I'm trying to follow that line. So, well, at least, okay, so this side of it is arbitrary. I could take that and go a little further with it if I want to. I could go to here, you know? So if I mess up and heat up this little part, I could just cut a little bit more slowly and carefully and get rid of that burnt part. I definitely wouldn't be so cavalier if I was doing it down where this choil is or something like that, where it's right near the edge. I wouldn't be playing with that kind of heat if it was anywhere near the edge. This heat up here will never get anywhere near here though, so it will never hurt the heat treat of this edge. I should be taping up this edge here so I don't bang it on something and dull it or cut myself or something, but I feel like this is going to go pretty fast, so I'm being lazy and maybe not smart. We'll find out. So I had to unlock the knife and kind of half close it so I could get to this point here. Unfortunately, it kind of comes up and rises up right here before it goes that way, at least on this line. So I'm going to have to knock down that little bit there, even coming back into here a little bit, which is dangerous right near the thumb stud. I don't want to hit the thumb stud at all. And it's tricky. And then I'll have to kind of bring that swedge over here and kind of match up the line so that it looks like a nice curving line, I guess. I thought it was more straight, but I didn't pay enough attention to it. Anyway, we're almost done on this machine, so it's done as much as it can do, or pretty close. Yeah, I'll have to do it on the, I think on the belt sander for the rest of this. Oh, well. So that's what we got so far. So I hit this guy on the belt sander a little bit, just kind of kept it real flat, trying to keep this piece right here nice and flat. It's going to take some more. I'm not sure what exactly I'm going to do to tie in. So there's a little swedge right there, or whatever you want to call it, a little angle. It stops right past the thumb stud. So it's a bitch to get to without touching the thumb stud with something and putting a mark on that. But I need to carry that out to at least over here somewhere, I think. So maybe a Dremel. That might be the way to go. Don't know. We'll find out. So what I did to get this swedge kind of finished, or not a swedge really, it's just a bevel on the edge here, so that it's not sharp on that edge. I put a finer belt on here, and I went at a really funky angle to not have it hit that thumb stud on the back side, and then I just ran it across like this. And I did the same thing this way. So if you're careful, you can do some interesting stuff just by using your angles and using an unsupported belt. That works a little bit better for doing stuff like that. So anyway, so that's what we got across the top now. A long straight line instead of kind of a curvy line that comes up and then comes down here. And as far as how it works, this is left-handed, but still opens fine. Everything kind of matches up. I think it looks good. It looks kind of like a stitch. It looks like I was trying to copy the shape of a stitch, I just realized. Definitely wasn't. I was just trying to make it so I could have a finger here and the thumb would be in the right place. But I guess maybe that's what the stitch is based on? I don't know, man. It's kind of like a shrunken, skinny stitch. That's funny. Oh well, I really wasn't trying to copy it. But when I just looked at it, that's what it looks like to me. Anyway, have a nice day.